In a nation sculpted from the earth, where cities rise like mountains and roads stretch like veins, the most enduring structures have not been made of concrete and steel, but of courage and resolve. Today, we explore the foundations laid by women in South Africa's construction and property sectors, tracing their journey from the past to the present. Let's rewind to 1956, a pivotal moment when 20,000 women of all races united against the apartheid regime's past laws. This wasn't just the march against racial injustice, it was a defiant stand against gender oppression, laying the groundwork for future battles in all arenas of society, including the built environment.
My mom, she had 10 kids. We are all girls. And then I'm number 9 out of all those girls. And then I was the ugliest one out of all those 10. And then my dad, when he saw me, he said, yes, here's my boy. And then I look upon my mom because she was working at home. She didn't have a work. So then I said to myself, when I grew up, I don't want to be like what I saw. And then I want to be a better person.
So my mom was a domestic worker, so she wasn't making a lot of money. I don't want to find myself in a position where I have to depend on someone. I want to be liberated.
My mother, not only did my mom raise us, we always had other people around us, like my cousins, my uncle's children, and she always managed to take care of all of us. We never grew up lacking anything.
I will not lie, I was raised by extremely strong women. And I still need them in my office as a guide, almost walking around, because they were very powerful women, but they were not business women.
I grew up in the home of a woman who was running a business and somehow still managing to feed us and clothe us and educate us. That made me understand that it is possible.
It was hard in the past. I mean, having to go to work and provide for your children. But my mother is an example of that strong woman, what we call imbokoto.
Despite global strides towards gender equality, South Africa's journey has been fraught with challenges. By 1970, the nation scored a mere 25.6 out of 100 in measuring equality, placing it at the bottom among emerging economies. Even into the 1980s, a woman needed a male co-signer to purchase property. Customary marriages and societal norms, underpinned by the belief that property can't own property, severely restricted women's rights. This is not only marginalized women, but also made it arduous for female entrepreneurs to secure the funding necessary for venturing into the property sector. Fast forward to 1990, and only a modest improvement to 38.8 was noted. However, the narrative began to shift dramatically in the following decades. The post-apartheid era marked a new dawn. Nearly 20 reforms aimed at increasing women's economic inclusion were introduced between 1990 and 2020, catapulting South Africa's score to an impressive 88.1, making it a top global reformer. Yet, the real estate and construction industries remained bastions of male dominance.
You know, we looked at success from a lens of a male. Those are the people that you could relate to, that were in higher positions, that you are aspiring to.
The property, construction, built environment sector is reservedly historically reliant on a skills base, like physical, practical skills.
I think we the lesser of the gender. The major challenges from an industry point of view, it's always been, you know, seen as the tough industry, the hard industry. You need to have the steel toes to get on site. It's a man's world.
I remember the very first job being a very confident young girl, you know, thinking that the world owed me something, not realizing I would have to work so hard. I've been exposed to such difficult environments very early on in my career. You kind of like expect life to be difficult.
The triple BEE, while a beacon of hope, has had mixed success in leveling the playing field. It aimed to dismantle historical inequalities, yet women, especially in construction, found the ceiling hard to break.
For me, this whole BEE, as much as I've heard about it, I actually haven't seen it really work for me. I sort of put it there on my company profile. I'm a level 1 BAA. But I can't say that I've gotten a project because I'm a level 1 BE.
We've got leading women, we've got women in property, therefore we've done what we need to do. It's a journey. It's a progressive journey.
In rural South Africa, women were the builders of homes and roads. But as construction evolved into a lucrative profession, gender disparities became starkly evident. By 2003, the University of Pretoria reported that a mere 10% of its undergraduate students in construction management were female. In leadership roles within the property sector, women's representation was discouragingly low. As of 2021, women comprised just 13% of registered professionals in the built environment, a stark contrast to their 51% share of the national population. The property sector, a significant contributor to South Africa's GDP, is too critical to remain untransformed. The question looms, what potential are we missing? Economically empowered women are the bedrock of stronger communities and a more robust economy. As we stand on the brink of the present, looking towards a horizon filled with cranes and skyscrapers, we must ask ourselves, how far have we really come?
To the black women running businesses who feel that, the chips are stacked against them, I would say that is true. The chips are stacked against you.
If someone needs a contractor and I rock up, there's that stigma that, how are you going to build a house, Because I like to look good, I'll get those comments, oh, wow, she is like, oh, looking too pretty, oh. There's that perception that women shouldn't be in the space, women should be at home, taking care of the family.
Men has got a lady at home that's look after the kids, or a wife. We are the wives, we are the moms.
What was hard is that when I started, I had no full-time helper. I had 3 children. I had a home to take care of. And at the same time, I needed to bring something on the table as well. My circumstances at that time were not so favorable, but I had to stick it through. And we're here now.
It's hard in a leadership position to juggle, particularly family, and to balance your life is quite tough.
Real estate can be an all boys club, and I think it's deep-seated, it's generations long.
While they're playing golf, they're talking about, oh, by the way, there's an RFP that's going to come out soon, you must look out for it. But if you are not part of that golf day game, it means that you are excluded from those kind of opportunities.
Well, I spent too much time trying to break barriers and wanting to be invited to the dance. I'm not interested in that, and you shouldn't be.
The women's entrepreneurship rate has surged from less than 5% in 2005 to 16% in 2021. Yet, despite these advances, significant challenges persist, particularly in the real estate sector. A report released by the Women's Property Network reveals that in 2021, a staggering 81% of executive directors in the South African real estate investment trusts were male, with just 19% female. Improving gender parity could unlock an estimated 319 billion into South Africa's GDP. Conversely, failing to act on gender equity carries the most significant financial risk to global GDP of all the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
I think women, if they're given an opportunity, can definitely fly and do more amazing things.
Yes, you need courageous leaders, but you need people who'll be able to listen to their people, understand their people, to really design a company, not just for profit, but for the people as well.
Women are born, obviously, more of the feminine, nurturing.
Maternal, naturally.
We are actually an H2H industry, human to human.
Women are able to bring in some of that emotion behind the solving. Men tend to want to run away from anything that's related to emotions. It's hard for them.
By virtue of always being on the margins and the fringes, you bring a thinking that is different.
It's just a given that women should have a seat at the table for all the value and the experience and contributions that they can make.
We love South Africa. It's a beautiful country. But if you look what is happening now, you look at the market, you look at the economy, where is actually killing the small businesses.
In the construction industry, you get projects based on your CIDP grading, you know? It means I can only work around the areas that I come from, but if there's nothing happening there, then it means there isn't going to be any opportunities for growth for me to get to a point where I can, you know, be able to do projects of a bigger scale.
Business people, let alone business women, particularly at those low ends, are not taken seriously. And I'll tell you why. The mechanisms of our economy are not predisposed to inclusion.
Funding is a huge element. The second one is around financial literacy, because in order for you to get to the point where you are able to secure that funding, you need to be able to demonstrate that you understand financial literacy.
Solutions that we're looking at is actually developing things such as master classes that enable women to know and understand what it is to actually play a board role in a listed sector.
So without regulations, then I don't think that people take anything seriously.
Policy is changing. Governance requirements are changing. So one could almost say regulatory changes are enabling more and more women in the workplace. However, it still needs to come within the organization, from the culture of that organization.
Let's be equal. Give us that equal opportunity and see what we do with it.
Give people a chance. Give me a chance and let my work speak for itself.
I genuinely think companies that are listed on the exchange should not be allowed to have a board and an executive team without women.
It is absolutely unacceptable. We have less than 10% of the CEOs on the JSE being women. Unacceptable. The message that it sends is that the leaders of society do not fundamentally trust women to lead things.
We have multiple times over and over again proven ourselves as being moms, as being leaders, as being pioneers in so many things, and we got the opportunity to do so.
It feels like a glass ceiling because there are only so many, there's 27 listed companies in the property industry in South Africa, so there can only be 27 CEOs.
The future for women is really exciting.
We've also started advocating around menopause for women in the workplace because it's so incredibly important. Everyone gets touched by it.
To ladies out there, women, bomme, bomama, let's stand up.
I've seen multiple times females leading amazing projects. It's being done.
You know, just take a moment to say, in this particular sector, and I've engaged a lot with many other sectors allied to property, we've done a lot in this sector.
You can't be what you can't see.
To see women representation is positive in the sense that what it creates that role model that you can now see yourself as.
I'm sitting here as an example for my daughters and the young children, young girls out there, that when they look at me, they look at themselves and they say, I can even do better.
When my son look at me, every day will say to me, Mom, I didn't know that you can run the business the way you do it. I'm proud of you. You are a very good leader to us.
My daughter, I'll definitely not want her to have to work as difficult as I work through.
What I want for the future when my daughter in 10, 15 years time into the workforce is I don't want any more bias. It's not anymore a man's world. It's a world for us.
I think it's important that we watch ourselves in terms of how we are portraying our path to success, because we need to make sure at the same time we instill the importance of working hard for something.
We don't want to create versions of ourselves in our children. That's not what it's about. We want to create brilliant human beings who are themselves, who have enough role modeling to lean on.
She builds with purpose, value, the future with purpose, inclusive environment for others.
The unimaginable.
She builds with passion, she builds with agility, she builds with consistency.
The future is looking female.